Hello and welcome to today's lesson where we're going to be looking at water balance inside the body. So one of the things we're going to start off thinking about is how do our bodies lose water? What ideas can you come up with? Now our bodies lose water in a range of different ways. Water can leave the body via the lungs during exhalation, so when you're breathing out. Water, ions and urea are also lost from the skin through sweating. And finally, excess water, ions and urea are removed via the kidneys in the urine. Out of these three, which do you think could be the odd one out? The odd one out is the removal of water via the kidneys, as this is the only one that can be controlled. You have no control over water, ion or urea loss, either through the lungs or through the skin. So why is it important to balance the amount of water in your body? So this links back to what we looked at in the cell biology topic. You want to have just the right amount of water. If, for example, you have too much water in your system, then that water will move from where there's a high concentration of water to where there's a low concentration of water via osmosis. This will cause your cells to become turgid, to fill up with water, and eventually they could burst. If on the other extreme, your water levels are too concentrated, then water will flow the opposite way. Water will flow out of the cells, they will become flaccid, and they'll collapse in on themselves. Both of these will affect cell function, and so therefore you want to keep a balance, not too concentrated or not too dilute. So how do we maintain water? Well, the thing that we're going to be looking at mainly is the kidneys. The kidneys produce urine by filtration of the blood and selective reabsorption of useful substances such as glucose, some other ions, and water. The kidneys allow you to balance the amount of water by choosing whether to produce dilute urine to get rid of excess water, or to produce concentrated urine to keep as much water inside as possible. This is all controlled by a hormone, and the hormone that we're going to be looking at is called antidiuretic hormone, or ADH. ADH is released by your pituitary gland and is involved in maintaining the concentration of water in your body, and here we're going to look at how it does it. You can think of ADH as a chemical messenger that instructs your kidneys what to do. So let's look at the relationship between the pituitary gland and the normal water concentration in your blood. If the water concentration in your blood becomes too high, then your pituitary gland will detect it. Your pituitary gland then doesn't release the hormone ADH. Because of this, the kidney tubules will reabsorb less water. They become less permeable, and therefore lots of urine is produced. Your kidneys are not taking in the water and saving it, they're letting it go to the bladder. You'll therefore produce lots of dilute, clear urine. This will mean that your water levels will therefore return to a normal concentration. The opposite happens if the water concentration becomes too low. If the water concentration becomes too low, then your kidneys release more of the hormone ADH. ADH instructs your kidneys to reabsorb more water. They become more permeable, and so therefore more water is reabsorbed back into your body and less passes to the bladder and is released as urine, and therefore you will produce low volumes of highly concentrated, darker urine. By doing so, you're maintaining more water in your body and it will return to the normal water concentration in the blood. This is an example of negative feedback. Your kidneys are obviously a vital organ in maintaining the amount of water in your body. If you suffer from kidney failure, you can be treated by organ transplants or also by using kidney dialysis. We're going to look at this in a little bit more detail. This is an example of how dialysis works, and I'm going to briefly talk you through it. On the inside here, we've got our blood, and it will be flowing from the top to the bottom of the screen. The blood is passed through a dialysis machine, and it has dialysis fluid flowing in the opposite direction. In between the two liquids, we've got a semi-permeable membrane, which allows some things to pass through, but not everything. So therefore we're able to exchange things between the blood and the dialysis fluid. So let's take a look at what things we might want to do. In the blood, for example, we've got our red blood cells. It's important that they stay within the blood, and so the partially permeable membrane will not let the red blood cells through as they're too large, and so therefore they will stay within the bloodstream and they won't move out into the fluid. It's important to get rid of waste products like urea from your blood. To do this, the dialysis fluid will have a low concentration of urea, or no urea at the start, and your blood will have a high concentration of urea. Therefore, the urea will flow from where it's in high concentration in the blood to where it's in low concentration in the dialysis fluid down the concentration gradient. This will therefore reduce the amount of urea that's in your blood. Other things will also move out. Excess salt will move out, again, by diffusion down the concentration gradient. There will be a higher concentration of salt within your blood and a lower concentration within the dialysis fluid. So therefore, again, it will move out of the blood. However, some substances that you do not want to leave your body, like sugars, for example, so there will be no net movement of sugars and other substances needed by the body. How this is achieved is by making sure that the dialysis fluid has the exact concentration of sugar that's required in the blood and matched to the blood. And therefore there is no concentration gradient, and so sugar won't flow either in or out of the bloodstream, meaning that the blood that returns to your body has the correct concentration of sugar. Now, that's a very brief overview of dialysis and how it works, and it can be a little bit complicated, so definitely watch the video again if you're not sure. Another waste product that can be produced in your body is caused by the digestion of proteins. The digestion of proteins in your diet results in excess amino acids, which you need to get rid of. The protein is broken down into the individual amino acids, like you can see in the diagram here. And then in the liver, these amino acids are deaminated to form ammonia. Now, ammonia is toxic, and so it's immediately converted to urea for safe excretion. Now that you've watched the video, use it to complete the pages on 48 and 49 of our booklet. Once you've completed this, have a go at the questions on pages 50 and 51. And then use our next video to self-mark and find out the answers. Happy sciencing!